This time we're at Motorcycle Live, checking out what modern classics will be available next year. First off, it's Triumph's Bonneville range. The 1200 and the 900 really have changed very little in the last couple of years, and there are no really major changes for next year. A few colour scheme changes, but that's about it really. But of course the big news comes further down the range. Triumph couldn't help but notice the success that Royal Enfield have been having recently, both with their 650s but also their new 350 range, which is very broad and very popular. So to counter this, Triumph have now introduced their all-new Speed 400 range. These are single-cylinder, liquid-cooled 400cc machines with dual overhead cam and 4 valves in that single cylinder. Compression ratio is around 12:1, and you can expect around 39 horsepower. A figure which is obviously somewhat higher than that claim for Royal Enfield's little 350s, but these of course are air-cooled motors, whilst the new Triumph is somewhat more sophisticated. So not surprisingly, the price of the new Triumphs is somewhat higher than that of the Royal Enfields, although at $4,995 on the road, that's still quite a bargain. Although I suspect that your Triumph dealer is unlikely to mention that the bike, like the Royal Enfield, is actually manufactured in an Indian factory. Still, not a bad choice if you are looking for a A2 compatible first step into classic motorcycling, if you like. And build quality, at least on first inspection, seems pretty good overall. The only downside that we noted is the seat is a little high for some lady riders. Other than that, a nicely put together bit of kit, I think. If you want to take a break from the commercial stands, the National Motorcycle Museum has got some guys restoring a Royal Enfield that was damaged in the fire a few years ago. They're going to be stripping it down and doing some work on it throughout show week. And while we're on the subject of old iron, over on the Norton stands you'll find this very early Norton motorcycle over on the main Norton stand. It's parked right next to one of the new Commandos, which is given a matching paint job. The Norton name is 125 years old this year, so not surprisingly, the big theme of the year was looking back to past glories. There was this very nice John Player homage with an original John Player monocoque chassis race bike stuck alongside it on the stand. Now I was lucky enough to take one of the new 961s out on a road test during the show, although unfortunately I wasn't able to video. What I can tell you that the bike is very nice on the road, has plenty of character, although it feels rather more Ducati-like than it does any Great British Twin. This is a good or bad thing depending on your perspective, but it doesn't seem to have the same bottom-end urge that you would get from an old British parallel twin like an original Commando 850 for example. The brakes all round are pretty good. The front brake I thought was quite grabby, gave no brake force and then lots of brake force, which wasn't very reassuring on a damp road. The rear brake I thought was very poor, which is so often the case frustratingly on so many modern bikes today. Why do people not make bikes with decent rear brakes? I just find it completely unbelievable really. The only other area that I didn't really like was the gear change. They gave you a bunch of sort of really clodhopper awkward boots, sort of motocross boots to ride the bikes with, and I did find they were continuously knocking the thing out of gear and into neutral, which is something that I did find very frustrating, although I suspect that if I've been wearing my own boots this may well have not been the case. Hard to tell, I may have to get a decent test ride on one another time. But apart from that grabby front brake and the awkward gear change, overall I have to say this is a very nice bike, and build quality, at least from what I saw, seems very nice indeed. If anyone's had a longer test ride, I'd be very interested to know their thoughts. The success of the John Player Rotary Nortons was celebrated by a similarly decked out V4, which did, I admit, look very nice, but I'm still not completely convinced by the styling of that big V4. Production quality looks very good, but of course the price is extremely high. Over on the BSA stand, I thought things were a little bit quieter than had been in previous years. Of course the company still has just the one model, with a few variations. A new variation, the Gold Star Shadow Black, was shown this year, and this was their sort of headline new edition, which I think does a reasonably good job of giving the bike a sort of fresh new look, something a bit more contemporary. Now I myself have not actually been out and tested one of the bikes yet, Deb, however, has, and there will be a video to follow shortly. For me, while I like the overall look at the bike, there's some areas I'm really not so sure about. And I don't really mean the radiator. Things like the USB that sticks out high above the handlebars. It's very practical but doesn't look great. And some areas where transfers were used, where really a proper embossed paint job should have been in place. However, what the bike is like on the road, we'll find out with Deb's impressions video that we're going to get out in the next couple of weeks. British-based company Herald have their full range of machines on show, including their very nice Brute 500, a machine which is said to be designed, engineered and built in Britain, although the engine is actually sourced from outside the country. And that liquid-cooled single is said to produce 42.9 horsepower, making the bike A2 compatible even though it's extremely light at just 142 kilos. This is very much a fun lifestyle sort of a bike, and is a good alternative I think to the CCM, which is rather more expensive, the Herald costing just around £7,000 on the road. And that 13.5 litre fuel tank should mean the bike's got a reasonable range, although make no bones about this, it's no tourer. And with a seat height of 835mm, it won't suit everybody. But if you are looking for a modern bike that's just plain fun, then the Herald may be the bike you're looking for. Over in the Royal Enfield stand, they seem to have largely modernised the look of their 650s, which I don't actually like as much as I did previously, I have to say. But at the moment at Royal Enfield it's all about the 350 single, and they have a very broad range of machines based around that platform. Starting with one of their base models, the Hunter 350, which is proving extremely popular with younger riders. Because if you're not particularly interested in a bike that goes really quickly, and you just want something that's going to commute and looks really smart, the Hunter could well fit your bill. The Cruiser-based Meteor was the first bike to use this platform, and it remains a popular choice and is one of their base models. The price is starting at just over £4,000. Priced just above the Meteor comes the Classic range. These have a slightly better finisher feel than the Meteor and offer a nice range of machines, including this very nice Royal Signals model, which incidentally is one of Deb's favourite motorcycles available anywhere at the moment. And I think even with the introduction of the new Triumphs, the Royal Enfield 350 range is likely to remain popular, especially now that the range is shortly to be joined by an all-new Enfield Bullet. Hope you enjoyed that video, and hope you get down and look at some of the machines available next year from the show. But until next time, thank you very much for watching.